Hi everybody, it's Father Rich Jasper from Immaculate Conception and St. Jude Mission Church. As we begin Holy Week, hard to believe that we are here already for this most sacred time and this most sacred week in our church calendar. I hope and pray that these next days will really be a time of deeper prayer for all of us and a deeper falling in love with Jesus Christ through His Word, through these reflections, and through our just time of reflection and our time of prayer together. So it is Monday, April 14th, and the gospel today comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verses 1 to 11. John writes, 6 days before Passover, Jesus came to Bethany where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. They gave a dinner for him there, and Martha served, while Lazarus was one of those reclining at table with him. Mary took a liter of costly perfumed oil made from genuine aromatic nard and anointed the feet of Jesus and dried them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the oil. Then Judas, the Iscariot, one of his disciples and the one who would betray him, said, "Why was this oil not sold for 300 days' wages and given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief and held the money bag and used to steal the contributions. So Jesus said, "Leave her alone. Let her keep this for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." The large crowd of the Jews found out that he was there and came, not because of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. And the chief priests plotted to kill Lazarus too, because many of the Jews were turning away and believing in Jesus because of him. There's so much in this particular passage, but maybe just a couple things to reflect on today. First of all, John is pretty much coming straight out and being very boldly obvious and clear. It was not about the perfumed oil. It was not about the money that was being wasted, and it was not about the poor. Judas the Iscariot did not like the way that Jesus was heading. He did not like how Jesus was proclaiming his messiahship. He wanted Jesus to really come with that conquering type of weaponry to say, "I will wipe out the oppression of Rome." And that's not what's happening here. Here, Jesus is having a dinner party with his closest friends. And so in some ways, Judas is like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. Judas is angry. Judas obviously has let certain forces within his life and heart change him and affect him and pull him away from the mercy and the love of God. So picture then this scene here, this whole entire family, Jesus' best friends, Lazarus, Mary, Martha, they're all here in this space of great love. Jesus had just raised Lazarus from the dead. Imagine the power of that rejoicing in that moment. And here's Judas who couldn't accept that. Here's Judas who couldn't celebrate with those that were rejoicing that the dead had come back to life because of Jesus and his love. So on this Holy Week Monday, I think one of the things we have to really pray with here is, in what ways do we sometimes not celebrate with those who are rejoicing? In what ways do we sometimes hold on to the sour grapes? In what ways do we refuse to see the good that God is doing in the lives of others? A lot of times we do get jealous and we get envious, and that takes us down a road where Satan really wants us to live in that space of hatred and anger and refusal to enter the happiness and the joy of others. Where are we with that? There's a big question. The second part of this particular reflection for today too is this, that ultimately Jesus is saying to us that we must make sure that in his name we do care for the poor. He says this line, he says, the poor you will always have with you. And he's not saying that to dismiss them. He's really saying that to challenge us, that in his name, in his love, and in his mercy, we are to go out and feed others, both physically, but even more importantly, with the love of our own presence for those who need God. By the way that we respect them, by the way that we walk with them, by the way that we just take care of their emotions, we actually enter the lives of those who are poor and we bring them Christ's love. And there's the challenge. We will have the poor with us always, but we're called to walk with them and love them as Jesus would, in the same way that he walks with us. We who are poor in our own sins, poor in our own sufferings, Jesus never abandoned us, and we cannot do that for others. And so as we begin Holy Week, pray about those two things. In what ways am I holding on to envy and jealousy? And in what ways is God asking me to walk with the poor? They will always be with us, but when we can bring God to them, then his kingdom is among us. God bless you.